What's up, my friends? We're back in the shop today. Today we're doing a little bit of a project where we're going to take the battery I have for my fish finder and we're going to basically make our DIY battery box that we can not only use for the fish finder and the kayak, but we can take out of the kayak and use it for USB charging or DC charging in a normal camp scenario. So let's stop talking. Let's get to work. Now, disclaimer, I'm not a professional electrician or anything else like that, so take on a project like this at your own risk, but generally working with DC batteries is pretty safe as long as you pay attention to what you're doing. So what do I have for this particular project? I've just got a cheapo 12 volt 8 amp hour battery for my fish finder that I've already been using, which works great. I just got a little Garmin 4CV, which works wonderfully on my kayak. But having this popping around the bottom of my kayak is not ideal. Also, is not great wire connectors that are built into it. So I want to improve that. And the way I'm going to do that is with this. So this is just a simple ammo can. You can probably tell where I got mine at. They don't cost, I think, much. I think it's maybe like $5. I can't remember. I got it a little while back. So ammo can. Then what I'm going to do is add a couple things to it. The first thing is I'm going to put one of these connectors here on it. The other side will be this plug-in here that will basically come from my fish finder. So I want to mount that on the top. So this will have a constant power supply directly to the battery. But then I also want to add a number of items to the top of the box here. And I'm going to start with a switch. Very simple on and off switch. Voltmeter, just so I can see what the status is of my battery. USB plugs, out camping or even on the kayak, want to charge my phones, my cameras, or anything else like that. I got two 2.1 amp USB plugs there, and an good old DC power point. There's so many camping accessories that use this power point. It's a great one to have. Now, I sourced these off of Amazon. You can get them on eBay. You can get them on Wish, even anywhere. You can buy these individually, but I'll tell you, it's usually cheaper to buy a single board, and it has all four of them. And I just took them out of the board because it's not going to fit anywhere on here, and I want to rearrange things a little bit. So that's where I got those. This I got off of Amazon. It came in a 2-pack, which is perfect. I'm actually going to cut this in half, which we'll see here in a little bit. Beyond that, really what you're going to need is just some wires. These came with these, so I'll chop these down and reuse them. Might as well use them if I have them. And a number of connectors. I do like to color code my stuff where I can. And to make everything look nice, I got a bit of heat shrink tubing, and I got some more in the other room as well. So I'm going to build this up and kind of build the harness as I go. I'm not going to have it all done in advance and then put it on there. So I'm going to work on my layout first. So get everything where I want it on the box. So that's going to be installing this piece here for the direct connection to the battery. I'm also going to be using this for charging. So I'll have the same port for both. And getting all of these installed on the box. And then I'll work on the inside of the box here to get all my wiring in place after I have all the holes and everything in place, so I know exactly how much length I'm going to need for the box and to make sure it opens and closes correctly. Let's get to work. One thing I think is pretty important for projects like this is to plan ahead and make sure you have everything laid out where you need it. So you're going to have to break out your tape measure, your ruler, grab some scrap paper and do some math. Use some Google if you need to. And figure out exactly where you want things laid out. Now, I'm pretty big on symmetry when it comes to these things, so everything's pretty equal. You can see my marks on here. I'm going to put my fish finder plug down here on this end. I'm going to have my USB, my DC, and my voltmeter here in the middle. I may switch the order, haven't decided yet on that. And then I have my switch down here on the base end, is what the current plan of action is. Let's put some holes in it. You can see that paddle bit didn't do a great job of making a round hole, but you got it started, but that's okay. We can clean it up with the Dremel, just a little sanding bit here. There we go. Now, I will say, a key point here on a lot of these is you're not looking for making the perfect hole and the perfect size for what you're doing. What you're looking for with this type of stuff is to make sure it fits snugly and correctly. So this is a good snug fit. It's even got a bit of a friction fit, which is fine. And then we'll screw and glue this in later to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. So that's a good first start. On to the rest of them. Now these have a different size hole, which is pretty large, so I'm likely going to have to get close with the sizing and then Dremel it out the rest of the way. Let's see what I can come up with. All right, that's enough damage with that. Again, that's just gonna get us closer. We'll have to kind of sand these out even more. Now, I will remind you, when you're using a cutting wheel like that, really what you're doing is you're melting the plastic. You can see it all looks pretty melted. So do keep in mind when you go to grab it out of here, a lot of times it will be hot. Probably got myself a couple of times while I was working through that really quick. So let's continue to refine this and get everything so it fits. So there we go. We got 4 holes. Use this as I went to make sure that it would fit within all the holes. Yes, these are not perfect circles. They don't need to be. That's one thing I just want to call out. You've got a lip here that's going to screw down, and you won't be able to see anything that's left afterwards anyways. So I'm going to go ahead and use a blade here real quick and just kind of clean this up a little bit. And get everything cleaned up underneath here as much as I can. And at that point, I'm going to sweep up, and then we're going to move on to start wiring. All right, so our holes are in, box is cleaned up, workspace is cleaned up again, so I don't have plastic everywhere. Let's kind of do a quick dry fit with our different components here, just to get an idea of our layout. What's gonna go where. And this is where I kind of like to test everything and play with it, like which way do I want the plugs and the caps to come off. So we do all those things now. Now these, if you've never worked with them before, pretty simple. You've got your switch or whatever on top. There's just a screw on the bottom here. Generally, you're just gonna have 2 terminals. Positive and a negative, usually clearly labeled on the item for you. Obviously, since this is a switch, it's going to have two positives, one negative, one for positive in, the other one for positive out, that we'll have and be able to wire. But let me slip that in here. See, I'm thinking like so. Let's put our voltmeter in the middle. USB can go down here, and DC can go here. Now, one thing with these type of things too is to check your movement of everything. How does it open and close? And I think that's gonna be it. I like having the voltmeter in the middle. So that's going to be our layout. These guys are pretty easy to install. I've just got to put in these screw pieces on the back side, so we'll go ahead and do that now. I will say keep an eye on them. They tend to go flying. But as you get closer to getting it all the way screwed down, check your positioning again. The great part is that these are pretty easy to adjust and shift if you need to adjust anything. So I'm just going to come loosely in here. I've already cleared out some extra space down here for these. So if you're installing these and you're running into like a plastic piece or anything anywhere, just take it back out. Get your Dremel or your blade or whatever back out again. Cut it further away and fit it again. It seemed to take forever to get down to the bottom, that's okay. Let's switch here. So again, let's do a quick check. Go ahead and lock them in. Perfect. So, close that on here. So these are good. We do need to go ahead and get this one on here. Now, this wire that's on here, I'm actually going to, this is two purposes. I'm not just going to have the one here, so I'm actually going to cut this off. Now, I want to go ahead and give it some extra room here, so I'm going to cut further closer to this plug side because I'm going to use this plug on my fish finder, and I don't need a lot of wire, but I'm probably going to need more wire here in the box. So let me go ahead and give those a snip. There we go. So this guy here has 4 screws that will go into place. So I'm going to mark these hole locations. And just drill some small pilot holes. There we go. So let's kind of think this through real quick. We're going to have our battery here with our positive and negative. We're going to need to run a positive to here, but also a positive to here. So we're going to want to combine these two together into a positive connection for the battery here. And then we'll just chain down the row for the rest of our positives, and same thing with the negative, chain down the row for our negatives. So this thing is awesome. Just a little wire stripper. It makes your life a lot easier when working on projects like this. So there's a positive and negative. We're going to reuse a lot of this wire that came with it to build our harness here. So let's get to work. All right, well, here's how we are so far. So we've got our positive from our constant power supply. We've got that spliced here into our switch. Of course, this will go to our battery. We leave that disconnected as we're not currently using it. Go to our switch, which then basically we just have chained down the row to all of our positive connections here. So that's our positive side done. So now we just need to do our negative side, which will pretty much do the same type of setup to make sure that we're good to go. Let's get to work on that one. So let me go ahead and actually plug my camera in to the USB. It's the camera that's recording right now. Go ahead and try it. Click it on. And yep, I'm getting an indication that the battery is charging. I do like how this little USB panel lights up as well when I turn that on. I don't know if you can see that real quick there. Just gonna be a little closer here. See how that whole light turns off right here? From white to blue. Perfect. So the last thing to check is my fish finder. So let me go ahead and grab that and we'll try that out next. All right, so to finish up a couple things on the fish finder harness. So I've got my Garmin here, brought it out. So as we're gonna give a test next. Not the best job, but this will work for now. So this is gonna plug right into the top here. So good, solid connection, right? And then we're gonna take this, let me plug my power in to my Garmin. And this is off, because remember we had this hooked directly to the battery, so we can easily see what's going on. And here we go. That's a good sign. And if you see in the glare, fish finder is on and powered from the box. So perfect, that's what we needed. So now we've got our camp box. We are good to go. Let me go ahead and turn this off. So perfect, we're good to go now. So we've now got one box. It's got one battery in there. Things I'm probably gonna do in the future is add some padding in here to hold the battery in place, or anything else that I may want to store in here. It does have enough room for a little bit of storage here, so I might just phone this in and lock this in place, and then maybe have a little bit of dry storage in here as well. The wires are pretty good. I'm going to keep an eye on those to see if I need to change anything or tweak anything at all. Put that down. And I have looked at potentially, adding some lights to the front for a bit of a flashlight or a lamp, but who knows? Let's just start with what we have here, and we'll go from there. That's all I got for you today, my friends. Don't forget to get outside if you can. A lot of people out at the parks lately with all the coronavirus stuff going on. Do me a favor, be kind to each other, take care of each other, and take care of our parks. We want them to be there for a long time for us. That's all I got for you today, my friends. Take care of yourselves.